Hello everyone and welcome back to the GH24 News channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Before we start, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In a hostel in Prague, Lulu switches out at Dante. She promised Charlotte she'd come alone, and now her son thinks she's a fabricator. This was her one occasion to recapture her trust, and Dante blew it all to hell. Dante says he was only looking out for her. Lulu says she no way asked him to, she doesn't need a warder, and he's not her hubby. Dante asks her to hear to herself, and does she suppose Valentin would let her leave with Charlotte? He says Valentin has fought to keep Charlotte to himself, but Lulu thinks he's changed. Dante says he hasn't, and a gun indeed took a shot at Valentin. Lulu says that the gun followed Dante, but he says it was her they tracked. He arrived just twinkles before the shot, so they couldn't have had time to set up that shot. Dante tells Lulu that the gun followed her as she recklessly traipsed over Prague. Dante tells Lulu that Charlotte has stayed by Valentin's side while Rocco was at hers for the last 4 times, soliciting her to wake up. Also she up and left him. Lulu calls that illegal and says she left to bring Rocco's family home. As they argue about the peril Charlotte is in, Lulu points out that Charlotte's formerly been shot, commodity people kept from her, and Valentin had to tell her. Dante calls that a horrible accident, but right now, she's the bone, putting Charlotte in peril, and he argues that indeed Lulu could have been shot moment. Dante asks if she's willing to bring Rocco his mama again. She says it's her life. An angry Dante points out Sam stepped up to help him raise Rocco, and she failed saving her life, but she's amusement as if none of it matters. Lulu says she's thankful for what Sam did, and she's sorry for what he's going through, but this is her life, and she'll make the choices she sees fit. Dante says anything she does could put Charlotte at threat, or she could come home to Rocco. Still, perhaps that doesn't matter to her presently. He walks out, and Lulu switches out in wrathfulness and throws a vase at the door. Charlotte and Valentin are in a situated auto. Charlotte asks her father if he's sure he's not hurt. He says he's forfeiture, and she fears this is her fault. He insists this isn't her fault, but she says she communicated Rocco and her mama. Valentin says it's accessible, she'd want to communicate her mama. He tells her that she's a fugitive, he's made her one, and what he's been asking her to do is illegal. Valentin notes the moment she told him about reaching her mama that he should have moved them, but deep down, he knew she demanded to see her mama. His mistake was believing Lulu would come alone. Charlotte asks if he's saying Mama was responsible for the gun. Valentin says he doesn't and thinks someone followed Lulu. He admits people are following him, people who want to hurt him, but she doesn't have to stay with him. He saw her with her mama, and she can go home with her if she wants to. Valentin offers to put her on an airplane back to Port Charles, but he doesn't know when he'll be suitable to see her again. Charlotte hates having to choose one parent or another, which could mean no way seeing one of them again. Still, she chooses to stay with him. She cries that Mama has Rocco and others, and he has no bone. So she can't leave him. It's always been just the two of them for as long as she can flash back. In Michael's office, he tells Sasha that he'll respect her decision to raise the baby alone, but asks her to stay in Port Charles. Sasha admits part of her wants to stay, especially now that she has a family. Still, secrets have a way of coming out, so it's stylish she leaves. Michael says staying then will give her and the baby a safe and stable life, and she could lean on her family as a support system. He hopes she takes his advice to heart and stay. She asks if he has allowed about how this will impact his marriage to Willow, and how she explains this to the Quartermaines. She doesn't know if she can keep working or indeed living there. Michael says he can help with that. Sasha says she can raise this baby on her own and get this baby with everything he or she needs, and they'll want for nothing. Michael says he believes her, but if she ever needs anything from him, she should reach out. Sasha thanks him and agrees to stay in Port Charles. She says if she had to get accidentally pregnant, she's glad it's with him. He agrees, and thanks her for staying. In Curtis' office, Nina reflections to her friend that Drew is in Washington, D.C., with her son. Nina says they indeed took Wiley, and Drew is making his intentions clear. Curtis asks what Michael thinks. Nina doubts Michael indeed knows yet. Curtis says this is a bold move on Drew's part and the event will get press content. Nina hates that Drew is blowing up Willow's life and is sorry she's bringing this to him. Curtis says she's his friend, and he understands why she's angry, as Drew is doing what's stylish for Drew. Still, Curtis says they both know there's another reason why she's so worried. He says she played a crucial part in getting Drew tagged, so perhaps she wishes she was there. Nina insists she doesn't, and she has had her eyes open to Drew. Curtis understands, and he allowed. Drew was a good man too. He says Drew has changed, and he plans to deal with Drew as he's now, and she should do the same. Nina sees Drew for who he is, but it's Willow who's dazed by him. Nina says if only Willow knew everything about him. Curtis says if there's pivotal information that Willow is missing, he's sure she could make Willow see Drew more easily. Nina gasps and asks how he knew she and Drew were sleeping together. Did Drew tell him? Curtis says she did, just now. He guessed commodity more was going on between them, given how close they were getting, and Drew helped her get close to Willow. Nina admits Drew helped her get close to Willow and the kiddies, and while she thinks her son is better off without Michael, she clearly doesn't belong with Drew. Nina says there's no easy way to tell Willow she was sleeping with Drew, all while Willow was following him around with stars in her eyes. She says there's nothing she can do to stop this. Michael appears and asks stop what? Nina covers and says Willow took Wiley to Drew's swearing heft. Michael calmly tells Curtis they can talk about protrusions laterally. He walks out, and Nina is concerned that Michael didn't club an eye. Curtis says she should be concerned. He says one of Drew's biggest miscalculations was making an adversary of Michael. He suggests she come clean now, or she could lose Willow. This secret is a ticking time lemon, and the longer she lets it play out, and the more integrated Drew and Willow's lives come, the bigger the explosion will be. Michael returns to his office, looks at his phone, and sees a news report featuring a print of Drew and Willow together. He calls Diane and asks if they can use Willow taking Wiley to DC without his authorization to see Drew against her. Sasha goes to the sanitarium and speaks with a nanny about making an appointment with Dr. Navarro. She explains she was a former case. The nanny can make an appointment, but she should speak to a patient advocate as since she was a case that prenatal has experienced some changes. Felicia appears, and Sasha and her go and sit down. Sasha tells Felicia that she's pregnant, but Cody isn't the father. Felicia asks how she feels. Sasha is nervous and agitated but is moving forward with the gestation. Felicia assumes she's then about antenatal care and asks if the father will be involved. Sasha states he won't, and she'll be doing this on her own. Felicia says that's fine, and the precedence is making sure she feels supported. Felicia says she'll make sure she gets an appointment soon, and she should consider telling her parents. Sasha will suppose about it and reveals Maxie formerly knows. Felicia reminds her that she has a family that would be happy to support her. Felicia realizes she needs an exigency contact for the Granges. Sasha doesn't know who to put down, so Felicia says they should use herself for now. Isaiah checks out Sonny at his extension, but insists he meet with a cardiologist. Jason arrives and is surprised to see Isaiah. Isaiah leaves, and Sonny confesses to Jason that commodity is wrong with his heart. Sonny explains there have been many times over the once many months that his heart was contending, but it passed. Also, on Christmas Eve, he'd a pain moment, he was at the spa, and he got a miserliness in his casket and collapsed. Jason is glad Isaiah was there and asks if they should go to a sanitarium out of state to get him looked at. Sonny doesn't want to and says Isaiah gave him meds. Jason insists he must see a specialist. Sonny knows, but sees this as a wake-up call to change how they run the business. Sonny worries about what will be to his family should commodity be to him. Jason says he can run the business right now, and Sonny needs to concentrate on getting well. Sonny says they need to consider the long term and what's coming. Sonny feels if it comes to it, he'll have to hand over the business to Jason, as he trusts no one further than him. Jason says that means a lot to him, and he can run it on a short-term base, but he can't take it over. He says Sam's death has changed everything, and he's Danny's only parent. Sonny understands, but this leaves him with no bone to hand the association over to. He says this isn't a problem for moment, and they've time to suppose about an exit strategy. Carly thinks Willow's lost her mind. Willow fears Michael will take the kitties from her after she served papers. Portia tells Cyrus he's no longer welcome in the sanitarium. Joss tells Trina the monster who killed Dex needs to be penalized. Brennan tells Colette that Charlotte led them to Valentin formerly and she'll do it again. Sonny tells Michael he'll only have a problem if you don't tell her everything.